Marcus Thompson worked the night shift as a security guard at Sterling Plaza, barely making enough to support his sick mother. On a freezing December night, he saw an elderly homeless man shivering outside the building. Despite strict company policy, Marcus let him sleep in the warm lobby. The next morning, his manager fired him on the spot. With no savings and bills piling up, Marcus thought his life was over. But 24 hours later, that homeless man walked back into his life. What happened next would change everything. Hi everyone, welcome to Mystic Tales. Today, I'm excited to share a new story with you. Marcus sat at the security desk of Sterling Plaza, watching the snow fall outside the glass doors. The clock showed 11:30 p.m. His phone buzzed with a message from the hospital about his mother's medical bills. He sighed and put the phone away. The winter night grew colder. The temperature had dropped to 15 degrees. Marcus did his usual rounds, checking each floor of the building. When he returned to the lobby, he noticed an old man outside, sitting on the sidewalk. The man wore a thin jacket and held a small bag close to his chest. Every few minutes, he rubbed his hands together, trying to stay warm. Marcus watched him through the glass doors. "Sir, you need to find a shelter. It's too cold out here," Marcus said through the door. The old man looked up. His face was red from the cold. "I tried. They're all full tonight." Marcus knew the building policy. No unauthorized people allowed inside, especially at night. Breaking this rule meant immediate firing, but he couldn't watch someone freeze to death. "Come inside for tonight, just until morning," Marcus said, opening the door. The old man stood up slowly. "Thank you, son. I'm Richard." Marcus led Richard to a corner of the lobby where security cameras had a blind spot. He brought him a cup of hot coffee from the break room. "I worked as a teacher for 30 years, Richard said, warming his hands on the cup. "Lost my house after medical bills ate up all my savings. Life can change so fast." Marcus nodded. "I understand. My mother's in the hospital. The bills keep coming." They talked quietly through the night. Richard told stories about his teaching days. Marcus shared his dreams of going back to college someday. At 6 a.m., Marcus's manager Lisa arrived early. She saw Richard sleeping in the corner and immediately called Marcus to her office. "What were you thinking? This is a Class A office building, not a homeless shelter," Lisa said. "Could have died in that cold," Marcus replied. "Pack your things. You're fired. I'll mail your final check." Marcus cleared out his locker. His hands shook as he picked up his belongings. Richard had already left the lobby. Now Marcus had no job, no way to pay his mother's bills, and rent was due next week. He walked home in the morning sun, wondering how everything had gone wrong so quickly. His phone showed 3 missed calls from the hospital. His mother needed more tests, more bills, more money he didn't have. Marcus sat on his bed in his small apartment, trying to figure out what to do next. He had helped someone in need, but at what cost? He didn't regret his decision, but fear gripped his heart. How would he survive now? The next morning, Marcus walked to the hospital to visit his mother Sarah. She lay in bed, looking tired, but managing a smile when she saw him. "Why aren't you at work?" Sarah asked. Marcus sat in the chair beside her bed. "Mom, I need to tell you something. I lost my job." He explained what happened with Richard. Sarah reached for his hand. "You did the right thing. Your father would have done the same." "But how will we pay for your treatment now?" Marcus said. A nurse came in to check Sarah's vitals. "The doctor wants to start a new medication tomorrow. The insurance should cover most of it." Marcus stepped out to speak with the billing department. The new bill showed thousands of dollars they needed to pay. He had only $50 in his wallet. On his way out of the hospital, Marcus stopped at a coffee shop to use their Wi-Fi and search for jobs. He needed something fast. Any job would do. The bell above the door chimed. Marcus looked up and froze. Richard walked in, but he looked different. He wore a clean suit and carried a leather briefcase. "Marcus, I hoped I would find you," Richard said, walking to his table. "Richard, what's going on?" Richard sat down. I need to explain something. I'm not really homeless. Marcus felt confused. I don't understand. I run a company that tests corporate security and employee integrity. We go to different buildings, pretending to be in need. We see how security staff treat vulnerable people. Marcus stared at his coffee cup. So it was all fake? The situation was a test, yes, but your kindness was real. You risked your job to help someone you thought needed it. That means something. I did lose my job, Marcus said quietly. Richard nodded. I know. That's why I'm here. I spoke with the building owner this morning. He fired Lisa for making that decision without consulting him first. Marcus looked up. Really? Yes. The owner believes in compassion. He wants to offer you a better position, head of security for the whole building, better pay, full benefits. Marcus sat back in his chair. Are you serious? The salary is $70,000 a year, plus medical insurance that would cover your mother's treatment. Tears formed in Marcus's eyes. I don't know what to say. Say yes. The world needs more people like you, Marcus. People who choose kindness, even when it costs them something. Marcus wiped his eyes. When do I start? Monday morning. And Marcus, one more thing. The building owner wants to cover all your mother's existing medical bills. Consider it a thank you for showing us what real integrity looks like. Marcus rushed back to the hospital to tell his mother the news. Sarah listened with tears in her eyes as he explained everything. I knew something good would come from your kindness, Sarah said. Your father always said that. A doctor came in with test results. Mrs. Sarah, your latest results show improvement. With the new treatment plan, we expect even better progress. Marcus spoke with the hospital billing department again. This time, he had good news to share. The staff helped him process the paperwork for his mother's bills. All the previous bills are cleared now, the billing clerk said, and your new insurance will cover most future expenses. Marcus spent the weekend preparing for his new role. He studied the building's security protocols and emergency procedures. He wanted to prove Richard and the building owner right about their choice. Monday morning came. Marcus walked into Sterling Plaza wearing a new suit. The same security guard who had replaced him stood at the desk. Good morning, I'm Marcus, the new head of security, Marcus said. Yes, sir. Richard told us about you. We're glad to have you here. Marcus went up to his new office on the second floor. It had a desk, computer, and window overlooking the street. Richard was waiting for him. Ready for your first day? Richard asked. Yes, but I have questions about the security team. They spent the morning reviewing staff schedules and protocols. Marcus suggested some changes to help people in need. What if we set up a small warm room in the back lobby? Marcus said. For emergencies on cold nights, with proper screening and registration. Richard smiled. That's exactly why we chose you. Write up a proposal. The owner will love it. During lunch break, Marcus called his mother. She sounded stronger already. The nurses are so nice here, Sarah said. And the new medicine is helping. When can you visit? I'll come after work. My schedule is better now. Marcus walked through the building, meeting his team. He learned their names, listened to their concerns. Some remembered him from his previous position. We heard what you did that night, one guard said. It was brave. It was right, Marcus replied. Sometimes that's more important than rules. At the end of his first day, Marcus sat in his office. He looked at the street where he had first seen Richard. A young woman stood there, looking lost. Marcus went downstairs. Miss, are you okay? Do you need help? She had missed her bus. The next one wouldn't come for 2 hours. Marcus opened the lobby door. You can wait inside where it's warm, he said. Weeks passed, and Marcus settled into his new role. He created clear guidelines for helping people in need while maintaining building security. The owner approved his warm room proposal for emergency cases. One evening, Marcus visited his mother at the hospital. Sarah looked much better, sitting up in bed and reading a magazine. The doctor says I can go home next week, Sarah said. The new treatment worked better than they expected. Marcus arranged the flowers he had brought. That's wonderful news, Mom. I've been saving money to help you get settled back home." "Richard stopped by today," Sarah said. "He told me more about that night, about how many other security guards just turned him away." Marcus checked his mother's water pitcher. "I was just doing what felt right." A nurse came in with Sarah's medication. "Your mother is our miracle patient. Such a quick recovery once she got the right treatment." After leaving the hospital, Marcus walked through the city. He passed several homeless shelters. He remembered Richard's story about testing different buildings. It gave him an idea. The next morning, Marcus met with Richard in his office. "I want to start a program," Marcus said, "training security staff at other buildings about helping people in crisis." Richard leaned forward. "Tell me more." "We can teach them how to handle emergencies, how to connect people with shelters, when to call social services, basic human kindness with proper safety protocols." "Write up a proposal," Richard said. "Include costs and training materials. I'll present it to other building owners." Marcus worked late that night, researching and writing. A security guard knocked on his door. "Sir, there's a family in the lobby. Their car broke down. They have 2 small kids." Marcus went downstairs. The family looked tired and worried. The father tried to call a tow truck, but no one was available until morning. "We can't afford a hotel," the mother said quietly. Marcus made a decision. "We have a warm room for emergencies. You can rest there until morning. I'll help you contact a mechanic I know." The family's relief was visible. Marcus got them settled with blankets and water. He called his trusted mechanic, who agreed to help in the morning. Later, reviewing security footage, Marcus noticed Richard watching from the corner. He had seen everything but said nothing. The next day, a note appeared on Marcus's desk. "Keep changing lives. You're doing exactly what we hoped you would." 6 months later, Marcus stood in front of a room full of security personnel from different buildings. His training program had been approved and implemented across the city. "Being kind doesn't mean being careless," Marcus said to the group. "We can help people while keeping our buildings safe." After the training, a young security guard approached him. "My building manager always tells us to turn everyone away, no exceptions." "Show him our success records," Marcus said. "We've helped hundreds of people without a single security incident." Back at Sterling Plaza, Marcus checked on the warm room. It now had basic supplies, a phone for emergency calls, and contact information for local shelters. His security team knew exactly how to help people in need. Sarah had fully recovered and volunteered at the hospital, talking to other patients. She visited Marcus at work that afternoon. "Remember when you were worried about losing your job?" Sarah said. "Now look at you." Marcus smiled. It all started with one cold night. Richard walked in. "Marcus, the owner wants to see you." In the owner's office, Marcus saw familiar faces. Representatives from 5 other buildings sat around the table. "Your program is working," the owner said. "These buildings want to implement it fully. We need someone to oversee all locations." Marcus looked at the proposal on the table. Director of Community Security Programs. The salary was double what he currently made. "I'll train managers at each building," Richard said. "Show them how to balance security with compassion." "What about Sterling Plaza?" Marcus asked. "You'll still be based here, but now you can help more people across the city." Marcus thought about that night 6 months ago. One decision had changed everything, not just for him, but for so many others. "When do we start?" Marcus asked. "Next month. Your first task is selecting and training your replacement here." That evening, Marcus walked through the lobby. A security guard helped an elderly woman call her son after she got lost. Another guard gave directions to a stressed-looking man who missed his bus. Marcus watched them work. They showed the same kindness he had shown Richard that winter night. But now it wasn't against the rules. It was part of their job. Sarah called as he was leaving work. "Coming to dinner tonight?" "Yes, Mom, and I have some good news to share." Marcus stepped outside. The summer air felt warm. He remembered standing in this same spot, watching Richard in the cold. Sometimes the biggest changes start with the smallest acts of kindness. Loved this story? Tap that like button and subscribe to Mystic Tales for more. Let us know how this story made you feel with a single word in the comments.